maybe you can answer this, or Elaine, or Kevin, or Bob. But, last time at the meeting, we talked about that the diversion water exceeding I guess it was around 3 ppt for mercury, and Dr. Timms had commented on that in a recent email. Do we know what the source of that might be, or why the upgraded diversion wells?
We've seen that phenomenon most particularly at East Park, and not often, but occasionally, such that it becomes concerning if we're trying to rely upon it as a source of integration for meeting water quality standards. We've also seen it at C1. So the caution to us there is that we've got to be particular about any water that we would have to bring into the development treatment system. But fortunately, the diversion systems as currently proposed are along the C2 corridor, so we don't anticipate significant issues there. I think we've had one hit along the C2 area, but we've been watching that and it hasn't repeated itself.
What's background?
But I think, Tim, I don't know for sure what he's referring to, but I know in the past he suggested that there's CKD scattered about the area through wind dispersion and other things. We've not seen that in borings that were largely deemed up gradient of any of the CKD piles. I think it's just, by and large, there's a basic recognition that there's background levels of mercury. And in a lot of cases, those may present issues with respect to groundwater that are above 1.3.
So it's not necessarily a resort township field that may have had some airborne dust flying,
I think you've got a lot of ubiquitous, not natural, but activity occurring sources that over time can lead to that situation.
I would just add that on what Gary said, that we have seen mercury levels in groundwater wells elsewhere in northern Michigan, where we've done low-level mercury sampling, which is not many locations. We've occasionally see 1.3, and some background wells going as high as 3 or 4. We don't know the reasons for that. We don't know if that's because of some local situation, or whether it's a regional phenomenon, or whether it's a response to precipitation that may have higher levels of mercury in it occasionally. We don't know, and it's just something that does occur. So, as Gary said, it's along with a lot of other things, it's ubiquitous throughout the industrialized world.
Were the tests that you took representative of average testing, or were you testing there for mercury for specific reasons?
Well, whenever you do low-level mercury, you're looking for mercury.
Right, so that might skew your test.
Well, the collection of the samples and the holding, custody of the samples, the laboratory testing is all tightly reined in. So the only variable is where wells are located across the state and what local groundwater conditions are and what other things, variables may play into water quality. But keep in mind that with respect to, having mercury concentrations above 1.3 in groundwater wells, may seem like a big concern. The drinking water standard is much higher. It's not a threat to people. But obviously in this particular case, I know CMS is interested and concerned about what it might be with respect to discharge to the lake. But on the flip side, if those wells were not capturing that water, whatever the mercury load is, upgradient, that water would still go to the lake. It's headed to the lake one way or another, unless we decide we're going to divert it and send it somewhere else. So, I know that's not a complete answer, but we have not been doing a full statewide research project on background mercury levels in groundwater across the state, and there are some reasons for that, because these types of tests individually are very expensive, much less trying to do it regionally or statewide. So there's going to be some variation, and it's not going to always be below a laboratory detection limit of 1.2, or I should, it's going to be occasionally above.
And Michigan has naturally occurring levels of arsenic in groundwater that are not caused by man, it's caused by water flowing through the rocks that came down from Canada with the glacial movements. As well as, other than CKD, placement of arsenic or leaching of arsenic into the water, apple orchards used to use sodium arsenic as pesticides.
Potato farmers as well.
Fly paper, burn coal ash, of course related to CKD, but everybody with burning stove, coal burning stove.
Kevin, can you speak up just a bit?
I'm sorry. Michigan has naturally occurring levels of arsenic in groundwater due to just the type of rocks that are present in the state. Some of my sites near north of Detroit had 9 parts per billion arsenic in the water, and that was naturally occurring. So we wouldn't be looking at trying to clean up the levels below that. Other sources of arsenic include apple orchards use sodium arsenate as a pesticide to keep bugs away from the apples. Fly paper has arsenic in it. There's certain types of fertilizer for houseplants that has arsenic in it due to the phosphate in the fertilizer. Coal ash. So if you have a household stove that burned coal way in the past, you might see elevated levels of arsenic in the backyard if you threw your ash out in the backyard. So there's all sorts of other than CKD sources of arsenic in the local area.
Joanne, you